So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I was able to save 10,000 US dollars in 4 months. I understand that it might not seem like a lot of money, but considering the fact that 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck and can't cover a $1,000 emergency, I would like to think that it was a step in the right direction. In this video, I want to share with you some tips and tricks that I use to save more money because I understand that it can be difficult for many to actually save money. The process of thinking about it can be actually easy, but actually doing it and seeing that money in your account piling up can be much more difficult and easier said than done. There's really 3 first initial things that we need to do before we even consider saving money. The first one is that we need to set some broad goals to understand where we want to be 12 months from now, 5 years from now, or even 20 years from now. Whether you want to be a multimillionaire or maybe you just want to have enough money to pay for family vacations. My personal goal then was to hit my first million Jamaican dollars, and I did achieve it. It could also be that you just want to have a nice cushion of investment saved up that you are not struggling to pay your bills. So decide where you want to stand there. Now the second step is actually really crucial to actually achieving financial success and being able to save money effectively, and this is by creating a very simple budget. This will allow you to see where money is coming in and where money is going out. If you are not measuring and calculating your cash inflows and outflows, you are going to have a lot of issues actually trying to save money. If you really don't know what's going on and where your money is going, you don't know how much you're spending on various life expenses, it can really get out of hand and cause you to go in debt. Creating a budget is a pretty simple step, but it's something that most people neglect. They don't do it because they're just lazy or they just don't feel like to do it. Now the third step is to create more specific goals. You have to have those initial goals where you want to stand financially years from now. Then you want to have those secondary goals that are more short term, where you can say, hey, you know what, looking at my budget I just calculated, I want to be able to take this amount and save $500 per month, or maybe $100 a month, whatever you can afford. Maybe it's $1,000 a month, maybe it's $10,000 a month. It depends on your income, and I totally understand. So you can start with small amounts and expand as you go along. You should also be setting monthly saving goals and yearly saving goals. This will automatically push you to save more money, and you will feel a level of accomplishment when you hit your target each time. Now there's really 5 essential needs of people that are very important to address, and we are going to dig into each of those 5. The first one is food, then we have shelter, transportation, clothing, and health. Those are really the 5. We are going to dig into all 5 of them in just a minute. One of the biggest keys to actually saving money for myself, regardless of anything or any ideas anyone have mentioned in the past, was really to implement a simple but so effective strategy, and that is by setting up different accounts for various purposes and transferring money to them on a monthly basis. So money would come into one primary account which I didn't really use to do much, and then from that account I distribute to the various other accounts. During that time I was working 3 jobs and saving about 70 to 80% of my income. The paychecks from one of my jobs was dedicated to covering the cost of living, such as paying rent and paying for food. Now everything else would be thrown directly to savings. For this you can set up automatic withdrawals, whether it be 10% or 20% or even more, whatever you can afford. So the day that money get deposited into your account, you have automatically withdrawn 10% or whatever percentage you are capable of doing. Now you're left with a certain percentage to live off. I don't want to say trick yourself into thinking that you're making a certain income, but you can say I'm only making X amount of dollars and you're only able to live off this amount, disregarding the other percentage that you have sent to your savings. It's really a great way to save money, and it's really hard to go wrong with this strategy if you follow it. So there's really 5 different needs that are pretty essential for most humans. Now within these 5 needs, there are ways to cut back on each of these categories. The first one I'll look at is food. This is definitely one of the easiest to cut back on. During my 4 months, I didn't spend a dime on fast food. It's either home cooked meal or lunch from the hotel where I work. You can definitely cut back on food without depriving yourself of nutrients. Make sure you're getting good food in your body, and it is very important to do so. You can use brands that are less expensive and taste just as good as the more expensive ones. Most of the time, you're just paying for the brand name. Now the next one is shelter. Cutting costs on shelter can be a really difficult one to avoid. One of the best ways to cut the cost of your apartment in half is to actually get a roommate or consider renting out a room through an option like Airbnb to cut the cost of your living for yourself. So for that summer of 2015, I had like 3 roommates, which practically cut my rent to like $300 per month. Now there's also some other options you can look at if you're not interested in getting a roommate. Things like cutting utility costs like Wi-Fi, electricity bill, or even a phone bill. You can even cut the subscription like Netflix if you do have it. Number 3 on the list is transportation. Now this one can be very difficult to avoid as well. The easiest way I believe you can cut back on this is by riding a bike to work if you live relatively close, carpooling, or taking public transportation. You might want to consider whether or not it's actually worth it for you to own a vehicle now and how much you're going to use that vehicle versus something like a public transportation. Run the numbers and see what's best for you. Clothing is the other category that is also easy to cut back on as well. The best way to cut back on the cost of clothing is really unsubscribing from those different emails that you get from clothing providers that are giving you discount and sales. Remember, email marketers are paid to do something they are very good at, and they are effective at doing it. That's why they are still making money and they are sending these emails because they are effective. Is it really a sale, or they are just saying sale for you to get attracted? You can also consider buying new clothes on a need to use basis. Like you're going on a date or something, then you buy a suit for that specific occasion. The last one on the list is health. Health is incredibly important. The best way to cut back on this is really by treating your body right from the get-go. Health is one of the most important things in our life, but people pay a lot of medical bills because they have medical problems. They are not eating healthy, they are putting terrible and toxic food into their body, and they are not working out, and it's costing a lot of money. You're probably not seeing it now, but 20 years from now, if you weren't treating your body right, you will have plenty of medical issues. Just be nice to your body, because without a healthy body, you're probably going to have an expensive life. So that's it for this video. Hopefully I was able to give you some different ideas for saving some money. Look at your screen now to see other videos you might be interested in. Thank you for watching.